Yeah, what
Comics and
up?
crypto.
And we
Guess
got
that's
the Mr.
best
Roboto.
intro in the business. I'm telling you. How you boys doing?
How you doing? How you doing?
Everybody, thanks for joining Comics and Crypto, your source for everything collectible. And we're here with the amazing Cody.
Yeah.
Hello,
Part
hello.
himself.
And this message brought to you by Coca-Cola,
Hey!
the official
Coke
sponsor
Zero.
of
Hell
Comics
yeah.
and Crypto.
Yeah. Well, apparently.
Also can find that on VeVe Digital Collectibles. The holidays are right around the corner. What are you doing with your digital collection?
We held out hard for Pepsi, but we settled with Coke.
Thank you, Coke.
Oh yeah. Well, again, as always, welcome to Question and Hang, where we're just gonna
Wee.
talk about some
Chill
updates
out.
in the collectible space and answer all your questions. So
Yeah.
we have some really cool updates today, and then of course we're gonna dive a little bit into the Evolvables drop happening. So really excited for that. What's up, Bill? Yo, buddy. It's like,
Hey, Bill. Good to see you, buddy.
Enjoy-
A little dab for you. Gotcha.
I think my soul hurt whenever I did that, but whatever.
I know.
We're running a giveaway right now. A big shout to our partner Mentalox. We are giving away this ASM 252 original VeVe variant signed by David and Dan. And he put together this
Woo.
well. You can actually sign it. Very cool. And this
Yeah,
There it is.
actual
There it
footage
is
of them
from the
signing it. Look at that.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
The provenance is right before you.
Exactly. You
I
can
think it
see
would
it.
increase in value by about, I don't know, like 52.3% if I would have signed
Hell
it.
yeah.
Just saying,
See?
I always sign in blood. I don't know if you guys know that. There's a
Sign in
special
blood.
booth in the back. And I pricked my finger. There's
I
a
was
seal
wondering
and
about
everything.
that.
Yeah, very limited edition.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
First of its kind.
I'm now going to make you do that at the next convention, Corey.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
What would be a Comics and Crypto question hang without actually talking about Bitcoin? We are reaching $100,000.
Oh, yeah?
It is unbelievable.
Is that good? Is that good? Is that a good number?
That's pretty good.
That's pretty decent. Pretty decent.
It's just teasing us right now. I mean, it's
I
going
know,
up to
right?
9, 5, and then like going
We've been
down.
watching it just do this. We're like, come on, come
Such an
on.
insane achievement once it eventually hits $100,000. I mean,
Crazy
it's
times.
It's wild to
Crazy
look back at the videos. You know, guys selling 50,000 Bitcoin for pizza. you guys know that story?
Oh, yeah. Oh, I know that story. That's hilarious.
Oh my gosh, dude, that is insane. Ah.
Yeah.
Buy,
I
like,
feel bad for
Bitcoin
anyone
cards
who's
at
also,
gas stations.
yeah.
He needs to write a
Yeah.
book, sell the rights, do something to make up for that because my heart hurts for him.
Well,
Or-
him and these guys who do like lost their stuff in these hard drive, they have like
Oh,
100 million like Bitcoin in a hard drive that's like locked off, and they forgot the number to it. I was like, oh, you, oh,
that also stinks. Yeah.
oh,
Yeah, or I saw there's another video that keeps coming out. It was on reality TV like back in 2013, and this guy
Oh.
wanted to buy a house with Bitcoin. It was like a $1.5 million offer for like I think a 50,000 Bitcoin.
wow.
Bitcoin, and the person who was selling the house was super upset and offended. He said, "Are you kidding me? Bitcoin? What is wrong with you?" And it was just like one of the classic clips.
This
from reality
imaginary money, you fool!
Oh,
How
that-
dare
apparently
you?
That Bitcoin today.
Internet, what's that? I don't
Yeah.
want no internet.
Yeah, that's not gonna catch on.
Yeah.
It would have been worth around $4 billion.
Oh,
Yeah. Oops.
oh my God.
Oh, you live and you learn, huh? Sometimes you forget
Yeah.
about it, you learn all over again. That's all part of the process, I guess.
Oh, that hurts.
Okay, so this is really cool.
Wait,
Oh, yeah, I
what?
saw this.
Yesterday, James Gunn donated 2 world premiere tickets for Superman
Oh wow.
and 2 after party tickets. So it was for the Homes for Our Troops. It is a nonprofit that helps wounded soldiers, and he donated these 2 tickets. It was crazy because yesterday I've been watching this for a week, and it was at like $1,500. I'm like, I might have a chance to win this thing, and then James Gunn tweets it out the day it ends, and it went like 10-15x. And it is such an awesome auction for an amazing cause. Selfishly, I really wanted him at low price, but I am super happy it went for this high, and congratulations to the winner. And yeah, just so cool, man. James Gunn's the man. He's the man.
That's
Where
awesome.
is this? Like, where is the world premiere for that? Like, where's that happen at?
Probably LA. Yeah,
Yeah, probably.
Yeah,
LA.
Captain
Eat some
Sand.
fish
I'll lie. Got me
tacos.
an ally.
Oh, in LA. Oh my God.
All you have to do is just go off the 405 to the 302.
Get out here. Take the 405 onto the expressway.
302. Oh, great skit.
Uh,
Yeah. Apparently, we're going to see a trailer for Superman next month. He's like, it's been in my heart
Nice.
for
Ooh.
3 months.
Wow.
James Gunn is unbelievably impressive. That guy runs such a tight ship. They had zero reshoots. Zero reshoots for Superman.
Wow.
He is actually pretty famous for not having reshoots, whereas Marvel in general has like months of reshoots. Typically, like the new Captain America film had like I think 2 months, and they spent millions and millions of dollars more on the reshoots. It's just like, oh, what a mess.
What's his official title now? Is he the CEO or co-CEO?
The head of DC Film.
Head of DC Film.
So he's like the guy who makes all the decisions. So he's basically his own boss, which makes sense because I will say that one of our proudest tweets that we tweeted out, and we said basically, when is DC just going to pay James Gunn like $1 billion just to run the show?
Yeah.
And then 6 months later, they hired him, and I was so happy to see that. It was like Christmas Day for me because I wanted to see it so bad.
Yeah.
He deserves it. He deserves it. I mean, the guy has done.
I'm so not hip. I'm excited, obviously, for Superman, but I'm like not like. Is there any tease as like what period of time, like what's going on, like with this rendition of the character?
There's speculation on what the storyline is going to be. We do know there's going to be he's going to have a dog, and there's going to be a dog in
Crypto.
it. Super Pup. Yeah, Crypto. Yeah, Crypto's going to be in it. They already teased that. Lex Luthor is going to be played by I forget the actor's name. The girl Lois Lane. She's going to be portrayed by Marvelous Miss Maisel, who's an unbelievable.
Oh yeah,
so good. That was such a great casting for the casting has been fantastic, and even the Green Lantern series. I'm so stoked for that. Yeah, that's gonna be fun.
Oh.
Anyways, yeah, really excited for this.
I'm still hurt from the original Green Lantern.
Oh yeah, so is
yeah, I know. So is the entire world.
And everyone out there, remember, please ask any questions you have about collectibles. We'd love to answer your questions. We're just going over some updates in the collectible space. So please ask questions in the comments and we'll come back.
Any question. Doesn't matter what it is. Ask anything. Digital.
Yeah, anything you want.
Anything.
All right, what else we got? What else is going on in the news? Oh, yeah.
What's that?
It's Detective Comics 31, which we actually consider the third best Batman cover of all time, just under Detective Comics 27, the first appearance of Batman, and Batman 1. And actually, it was kind of validating to see Heritage Auction come out and talk about that. And they're like, yeah, this is, in our opinion, it's the third best one, too. I'm like, thanks for listening to us, Heritage Auction.
Guys.
But yeah, this comic, really, really cool cover. There's less than 100 blue labels on the CGC census. It sold for a record sale of $174,000 as a 4.0 grade. According to GoPro, this shatters the previous record of $34,000 back in 2012.
Wow.
That's a lot of doll hairs.
That is a lot of doll hairs. My God.
These comics are so impossible to find. And a lot of people own them. They just want to have them and hold on to them. I think they even mentioned that this comic in I think Detective Comics 27, they've only seen like a couple of these in the past 20 years on Heritage.
Wow.
Only a handful of them. Yeah, it's pretty wild. Appreciate you,
man.
Thanks so much. I appreciate you. So
engaged.
I caught the
that's out in the world, right? Like we've announced
now. It's officially.
Congratulations. I mean, on camera, we've already said it privately.
Yeah.
Man, that was awesome. I was showing my wife the pictures and she was like, oh my God, so beautiful.
Good on you with that gold snitch, man. Yeah, that was so good.
That was the one thing I knew I was going to do like a year ago. And the rest I kind of just figured out as I went. It all fell into place in the best way. The winery was
the wand interact with the golden snitch, or are those
just
two separate?
So the wand.
Explain that to me. When you first told me, I thought you said the golden snitch. It came out of this small wand, and I was like, "That's literally wizardry." Like how?
So I took Stacy, my fiance. I keep calling her my girlfriend. Fiance.
Yeah, careful now.
I took her to a winery out in Santa Cruz, a very intimate winery. I cold emailed them, and they called me back within seconds, and it was amazing. Yeah, big shout out to SoCal Vineyards and Peter and Jonathan and Paul. the 3 owners of the winery. He reached out. So funny. Peter called me and he's like, "Hey, I got your email about the proposal. Call me back. I'm excited about this." Then he called me back a few seconds later and said, "Hey, actually, that was the wrong message. Your order's ready. Call me back." I called him and I said, "Hey, is everything okay?" He's like, "Oh man, I thought she was going to check your phone. I thought I screwed everything up." Like, no, we don't do that. We don't check each other's phones. You're good. You're good. You're good.
That's awesome.
So we went out there and so I took her out. I gave her a box and it had like a little poem inside, and then it had this Harry Potter wand, and then it was like a necklace, and she's like, "Oh, thanks." And then I pulled out the golden snitch and then basically used the wand to open it up. It's like a key, and it opens up.
Gotcha.
And you pop it open, and then the rest is history.
That's amazing. Why didn't you propose to me like that? That's beautiful. Like, I want that experience. Lady.
Sean, when you got the golden snitch, did you pop it out of your mouth? Like,
No, it was already out, so but that would have been great. Oh, ta-da! It was in there the whole time.
If you did the behind the ear, what's this?
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Eddie, thanks for joining us. Yeah, 100K Bitcoin.
Yeah, Eddie.
May happen today. Absolutely incredible. Yeah. Thor.
Hey, Masteroni.
Thor.
Just Thor.
I have a Thor in my life. Maybe that's for me. Is that for me, Master Roni? He knows my
Maybe.
oldest son's
I have
name.
no
Thor.
context to that comment. So.
Yeah, him and I chat about Thor. We're both Thor
I love
fans.
it. That's so cool. Yeah, big shout out to Walrus King. I believe so. Yes,
It should be.
Yeah, nothing's
If it's
changed.
Not, go to VeVe.me in the corner, hit feedback, put in this isn't working as intended. Leave a note. Product team will tag that, and but as far as I know, it should be.
Yeah.
So back to this comic. Very cool sale. Took a little detour there.
We're done with the comic.
And this comic, I've been excited for this one to drop on Candy Digital for quite some time, and they did it in a very scarce way.
I was gonna say, I thought they did.
They did. It's available right now, and in my opinion, not financial advice, but really reasonable. Very reasonable price for this comic, considering it's literally impossible to find in the popularity. So, really exciting stuff. Yeah, very good sale. Yeah. A banana sells for $6 million. What?
But why?
Yeah, what?
This is absolutely insane. So I think it was a year and a half, 2 years ago. This auction, this piece sold for around 1 or 1.5 million, and then it ended up selling for 6.2 million a few days ago.
We need to take a beat here. We need to take one quick beat before we continue. Is that a real banana, or is that like a 3D print banana? Did they freeze the original $1.5 million banana? Did they put it in like cryogenic? What's the movie, like a Futurama or like a Idiocracy type deal where they're like the treasured 1.5 million banana will be preserved for generations in cryo storage? Like, how's it the same banana? Because I buy a banana at the grocery store, and by the time I'm home, that thing's covered in bruises.
Yeah, exactly.
So I need context.
I'm presuming that it's not a real banana, and and it's apparently on a wall. I don't know how he got it off the wall, or if it's on plywood, or what's going on, or sheetrock, but it's literally just a banana taped to a wall. The person who bought it, his name is Justin Sun, and apparently he's an investor out in, I believe China or in Asia. And the research that I did, and he wrote a Instagram post based off of his purchase. There's this actual Sotheby's sale. Might as well. And everybody.
No. He says he plans to personally eat the banana as part of the unique artistic experience. So that's a real banana, bro. Like above this picture on screen, the sentence.
Yeah, you're right.
What's going on?
He says he plans to personally eat the banana as part of the unique artistic experience.
That makes it more confusing because of the time lapse, right? Like that's what I'm saying. Was this cryogenically frozen banana? The most expensive piece of fruit in history? What's happening?
Exactly. Also, at this point, eating that might be poisonous. For how long it's been there.
The most expensive banana of all time. The most expensive meal of all time, potentially.
Yeah, that's true.
It's pretty wild. So he posted on his Instagram account, and he said, "I'm thrilled to announce that I bought the banana. I am Justin Sun, and I'm excited to share that I've successfully acquired this iconic work, Comedian," that's the label of the piece, for 6.2 million. This is not just an artwork. It represents a cultural phenomenon that bridges the worlds of art, memes, and the cryptocurrency community. I believe this piece will inspire more thought and discussion in the future and will become a part of history. And I'm honored to be proud of the banana and look forward to it sparking further inspiration and impact for our enthusiasts around the world. You know, it's interesting. I don't know the reason why he bought it. Specifically, did he actually love this piece? Either way, great marketing on his end. You know, we had Todd McFarlane on last year, and he's such a great guy. We've had a chance to meet him in person a couple times, and he told us the story about how he purchased the Mark McGwire 70th home run baseball. He purchased it for $3 million back in 1999. At the time, it was the highest sale ever for sports memorabilia. Today, that baseball is probably not worth 75% of that. You know, it's probably worth half, if not less. Boy, probably less than that. But the investment was the marketing that he got from it. He was going on Howard Stern. He was going on all these different outlets talking about it, but also talking about McFarlane Toys. And he said, I got more publicity out of that baseball than I ever would have got the $3 million as an investment. So good for him. And then also we saw that Ohtani baseball sale for $4 million recently. And an investment firm in Thailand bought it, which shocked me. I thought for sure it was going to Japan because that's where Shohei Ohtani's from. But it ended up being a Taiwanese investment firm. And again, I think that's just purely based on the marketing aspect. They're probably pretty well known, but now they're known globally. Everyone knows who they are now because of that sale. So it's interesting to see the perspective here and how that could maybe potentially tie into this, but who knows? That's just my speculation, at least. But I hope he enjoys the piece. I hope he enjoys the piece out of the way.
Yeah.
Sale.
I mean, he seems to love it. He paid enough for it.
He's going to eat it.
Yeah. Okay, this is really cool. So this video game's Clay Fighter, it's the Sculptor's Cut. This was exclusive to Blockbuster. So I think you could purchase it used at Blockbuster, but it was also rented at Blockbuster. You couldn't get it sealed. There's only 3 known sealed copies in the world today.
What?
And they came pretty much from the distributors as gifts. And this one specifically, I believe, was given as a gift from somebody from Nintendo. So pretty wild.
Did y'all play this? You familiar with it at all?
I remember Clay Fighter.
A little bit. So you see on the
I had
back
a 64. I don't remember it.
Oh, you don't remember this game?
No,
Yeah.
and I got like a 64 when it came out with like the Mario 64 packaged together with the console.
What's crazy is I remember Clay Fighter, but I thought it was for a different system. I don't know. I thought it was like either a PlayStation or the Genesis system.
Man, I'm gonna find.
I wonder if they're a different version.
It's really crazy because this game is considered a modern grail for a lot of video game collectors, and unsealed copies sell for thousands of dollars. A Blockbuster receipt purchasing a used copy of this game sold for $500.
Wow, just the receipt?
Just the receipt. In fact, the auction ended today. Let me see if I can do a little refresh here and see if it ended. And no, it's still live, but it's at $68,000.
Yeah.
$68,750 right now.
Wow.
With the buyer's premium. And that's considered the final price. So this auction is still happening right now. It's very possible this thing could pass $100,000, which is pretty wild.
Wild times.
Yeah. So we'll definitely tweet this out once we get a final sale price on this, but incredible. Yeah. Look at this.
Oh, yeah.
Is this, Kevin, what could this possibly be?
So this is one of the original Stormtrooper helmets from Star Wars 1977. Not just any Stormtrooper helmet. This is the famous Stormtrooper who says, "These aren't the droids you're looking for," and move along. That's right. Right there, ladies and gentlemen. That is the original Star Wars helmet. It is on Prop Store of London. It's sold recently, I think, for almost $400,000.
Wow.
Yeah, it is an incredible piece of history.
It's sold for exactly 327,600 pounds.
Yeah.
So it actually would be for USD just
over 400. Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Incredible, man. I saw this and I was like, why aren't I rich? Why don't I have all the money in the world? I would own that in a heartbeat.
So where do things like this come from?
Apparently for this mask, it went through the original guy who wore it. I guess he kept it for many years, and then it went to someone else, and they had it in like a storage area for a long time. And it kind of just goes through these types of processes. Apparently, that's how a lot of these props are. They just kind of are kept in storage containers somewhere that someone on set or someone associated with the production has kept for a while. And originally, nobody thought that this was an original helmet. They thought it was just, maybe another one from the later films or something. And it wasn't until they brought it to Prop Store and they're looking at it, they're like, this has a very distinct brow. It has very distinct features. And they went back through the footage and they screen matched it.
Yeah.
Per all the features to that mask. And they're like, that's the original one. Holy crap.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
Like we work with Eon, which is like 007, like everything or nothing. And for them, almost every single movie used prop and piece of memorabilia is housed in warehouses all across the world, in UK and in private. And they have like a giant list of where all they are. And so it's just interesting how different studios and different properties maintain or don't maintain, their historic memorabilia.
Well, for this, especially for Star Wars, you have to understand, until Star Wars came out and was a hit, everyone working on it, everyone who was making this thing thought it was going to be a flop. Nobody thought this was going to be good. Literally, there's interviews where the guy who plays C-3PO, Anthony Daniels, he was like, nobody thought this was going to be good. We were all standing around going, what is this weird creature standing around everywhere?
This is probably
exactly. So after the production, a lot of things were just destroyed or just given away because they didn't think anything of it. They wanted to get their money back. And now that it's a hit, they're like, oh, dang it.
Dang it.
I am super grateful to see a lot of Star Wars props that did survive, including a lot of the X-Wings that were used.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like there was an X-Wing specifically, one of the key Hero Shot X-Wings that sold for $1.3, $1.4 million. Don't quote me on the price. You can Google it. It was definitely over $1 million. And it was a very impressive sale. Actually, I think it was more than that. I think it was a few.
Yeah, it was a pretty crazy one.
It was actually 2 or 3 million, I believe.
Wow.
Yeah. In the same auction, they also had an original Stormtrooper blaster from the 77 film as well. So a lot of stuff has recently just surfaced with Star Wars, which is pretty crazy after all these years.
Yeah. And being able to authenticate it's one thing, saying, this is from the movie, but if you can even take it further and say this was from this specific scene, this probably would have sold for 50,000, 60,000 at most. But the fact that it was from one of the most iconic scenes of the Stormtrooper, that's why it sold for so much. And
and apparently after they removed a little bit of the rubber, which was falling off, there was a name on the back, and they matched that to the actor in the scene as well.
Nice.
So it's confirmed, this is that helmet.
It's very similar to the Babe Ruth called shot jersey that recently sold for $20-25 million. And and that person who bought that jersey bought it for around $1 million.
That's crazy.
5 or 6
That's
years
crazy.
ago.
That's
and
crazy.
they just said it was a Babe Ruth World Series jersey, but they were able to photo match and prove without a certain of a doubt that this is actually the called shot jersey. Which, I mean, he just turned that into 20x. Millions. Yeah, incredible. And and recently, and also on auction right now at Heritage there's a lot of movie props, including Humphrey Bogart Oscars and stuff. And there's a Back to the Future hoverboard, but it's not hoverboards. It's actually the hoverboard that was used in filming because it was owned by the actual stuntman, and they all signed it. They all signed it
because it's a stunt rig for when he's floating with the pads. So you have the harness that it would connect to for Michael J. Fox, and he'd be harnessed into the board. Yeah, really cool. Yeah,
super cool.
Yeah, and that one's around 150,000 right now, but I fully expected it.
It has to go more than that.
Because other hoverboards have sold for the hundreds of thousands of dollars in the past that have been used in the movie, but this is the one that was used.
Nice.
So
nice,
very
nice,
cool.
Nice.
Yeah. And everyone out there, remember, please ask us questions about Collectible.
Or anything. Just
or just hang out.
Or hang.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and hoverboards are on VeVe.
Exactly.
Hoverboards are on
all the hoverboards are on VeVe. Every single one.
Every single one of them.
Yeah. The VeVe-verse. Let's go.
Well, speaking of collectibles,
Hawk Boy. Oh my gosh.
Corey, you remember this?
I mean, I know it from the movie.
So in 1992 they made a sequel to Home Alone called Home Alone 2: Lost in New York, and in the film, Kevin McAllister, he has this recorder called the Talk Boy. He talks into it, does all these cool sound effects, And they made that specifically for the movie. It wasn't real. It wasn't a real
really?
thing. Yeah, it was a prop made for the movie.
Oh,
But
okay.
when the movie came out, a lot of kids wanted the Talk Boy. And so finally, at one point, they just started making them. They started manufacturing special editions that you can get. Well, all these years later, guess what? Now they're starting to become a collector's item. And all of a sudden, prices started skyrocketing over the past month. I don't know how this started, but now they're at what, $650, $700.
Yeah,
Some of these, yeah.
That's like a continuing gag from the first movie, because in the first movie he uses the movie of the gangster being like, "Get out of here!" And he puts
Angels with Filthy Souls,
And then in the second movie he starts recording bits from people and different things, and then replaying them. It's really clever.
Yeah.
But yeah. I didn't know this was a thing when I was a kid. I wish I had one.
Oh yeah, I had one, dude.
What?
Yeah, I had one. Yeah.
What?
Awesome. Yeah, I played with it for probably at least 10 minutes.
And then I threw it away. I did hear that these were not very good. Apparently, a lot of people said these things were not very good.
No, they're all right.
Very rushed out.
Overhyped for sure. But to find them still sealed is pretty remarkable.
Yeah.
Which is why they're selling for such a premium on eBay. Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, I love it though. This is the stuff that makes me happy.
I remember getting like have you heard of Flovi?
Yeah.
It's like a vacuum haircut thing that you go like this in your head.
Who is it that uses it? It's a famous actor, George Clooney. Like George Clooney famously has used a Flovi his entire acting career. He was like one of the one. Man, I'm like, now I'm like, am I sure?
I can't. I do not believe that.
I'm pretty sure there's infomercials of George Clooney using the Flovi.
No,
it is how he made
it. Has to be a joke. That has to be. George Clooney has to be joking when he says that. I think
it makes sense. He's got a buzz cut thing going, so I mean, it makes sense, right?
George Clooney. It's a top search. George Clooney cuts his hair with a Flobi. George Clooney has been cutting his own hair for 25 years using the TV infomercial device called the Flobi.
What?
It's amazing. What's really
I want to meet him and talk to him about this because I don't believe it.
I got it as a gag gift like 6 years ago, and it was just sitting in the closet forever. And then the pandemic hit, and someone was telling me, "Yeah, those Floby things were selling for like hundreds of dollars on eBay now because no one can get a haircut." And I'm like, "Are you serious?" And I went online, like, "Holy shit!" I ended up selling for like $300. Are you kidding me? Let's go! All right. Thanks for the gag gift, friends.
Man,
you.
Is that like the thing from Wayne's World where he's like sucking it up?
Big shout to Ben. Thanks for joining. Chat's about
Thanks,
what's not to like?
We have it all here at Comics Good Joe.
Just sprinkle it everywhere, just like diversifying your portfolio.
Exactly. Not financial.
Not financial.
The crazy thing about the Talk Boy is that's the kind of thing that you could go to like a Salvation Army or a Goodwill and it could be sitting on a shelf.
Yeah.
And if you didn't know what you just told us, you would just be like, that looks like a cheap recorder from like the 80s or something. You have no idea that sealed product on eBay is going to make you immediately. And it probably has like a sticker on it for like $10. You know what I mean? That's 100%. Why I love talking to you guys, because you get so many nuggets and you're like, maybe I should go hunting.
All right, I'm going to go to Goodwill again.
It's crazy the stuff that you find out there. I've actually saw some videos from Gary Vee talk about that too. He's like, there's so much stuff out there you can just flip and make profit. I love Gary Vee, man. He's fun.
That's how he got his start, really, wasn't it? By he was basically like a traveling flipper, essentially.
Yeah. I think he was definitely doing that. I mean, I think if initially it was
retail
wine,
arbitrage, wine.
Yeah, he was always involved in. I think selling wine online was like his first thing, and then the collectible space has been obviously huge. And yeah, that's so cool. That's awesome. So this is I don't know, for context, everyone out there, Topps started this really cool idea where every rookie in MLB will get a MLB debut patch that's put on their jersey, and then after the game is over, they take the patch off and they put it on a card as a one-of-one.
Nice.
So it's fun because they only release these after the season. So, you know, there's a lot of players out there that, you know, did really, really well, like Paul Skenes, who's a pitcher for the Pirates, who's absolutely incredible this year as a rookie. And now there's bounties put out for it, not just by people, collectors, investors, but also this actual own team. The Pittsburgh Pirates have put a bounty out for this one of one card.
Nice.
Patch signed by, and it's also signed. You can also specify that it's also signed by him. There's a lot of other players that have done very well, and just players in general. People speculate on players, but these are also. It's just a really big deal having this patch, on a one-on-one card.
Super cool. What is the bounty? I don't see the bounty.
The bounty
number.
for the Pittsburgh Pirates is you get 30 years of season tickets for one ticket behind home plate.
Wow.
That's my closest. Pittsburgh is the closest airport to me. So anytime I need to fly, I drive to Pittsburgh. So I'm seeing this and I'm like, man, maybe I should be buying some Topps packs, boys.
Yeah.
Like, that's awesome.
It's still out there.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. There was one. I forget his name. He plays for the Reds. He's a rookie. If anyone out there knows, please write in the comments. If I saw it, I remember his name. But it was just hit, and it was PSA graded. A Gem Mint 10, and that thing's putting itself.
It literally says host a softball game for 30 friends at PNC Park. That's awesome.
It'd be super cool. Your audio going in and out, Sean? You're muted
Oh,
right now.
you're muted. Oh, okay.
He's like, I'll be right back. I'm dealing with technical. It's never a live
technical
stream.
difficulties. Yeah.
You don't have technical difficulties. The last one that I did with Aaron, which you can find on our channel, we were trying to do transitions. Like we've added frames to our StreamYard transitions, but we have to time them manually ourselves.
Oh,
and so Aaron and I have like little things that we do. We're like, all right, are you ready to do a transition? So we know which way to put like all the pre-built flame, and it works.
That's awesome.
60% of the time it works.
Every time.
Kind of thing, right?
It's hilarious. I just got a message from the girlfriend, and she said, "Hey, could you take your Bluetooth off
It's your fiance, buddy."
Thank you. That's strike 2. I told her I get 3 strikes, and I'm out. I'm out.
John,
yes.
That's not strike 2. You've done that a few times.
Public ones.
Okay.
So she's like, please take your Bluetooth off. So I was connecting to her Bluetooth. Anyways, I'm back, guys. Here we go. Let's go. So there's 30 years of home season tickets for behind home plate. You also get to host a softball game for up to 30 friends at PNC Park.
Wow.
And you get a spring training VIP package to meet Paul Skenes, and also get 2 autographed Skenes jerseys and take home batting practice with the team. So, yeah, I mean, the guy finished 11-3, 11 wins, 3 losses, and had a 1.96 ERA in his rookie year. And he also won Rookie of the Year, and he was a Cy Young finalist. I mean, unreal.
Oh, wow.
Season. So this thing's going to sell for probably $500,000.
Oh, yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Oh, yeah.
Crazy.
Again, brilliant marketing too, right?
Yeah.
Like you were talking about how the banana was like a brilliant marketing tool. Like, how about this for Pittsburgh?
Yeah.
Like,
Exactly.
It gets even better.
Oh, wait, there's more.
I believe it was who was it? Jimmy Fallon. It was a talk show host that said, I'll give you like free tickets to the show if you just bring it with you and let me see it.
Just to see it.
I'll sit front row, we'll meet and greet. Just let me see the card. And I'll give you
let me sniff it.
A VIP experience just to come and enjoy. Yeah, pretty awesome. So that, and then on top of that, Paul Skenes' girlfriend even sweetened the pot and said, "You can come sit up at a game with me in my suite.
Okay.
Come hang out with us." And that's
Kevin's like, "Thank goodness." I was worried
where's this going?
So, but this is what's even funnier is that Topps they're just crushing the news and just like pumping out one-of-ones. Now Topps is dishing out this card, a one-on-one card signed by Paul Skenes and his girlfriend Libby Dune.
Oh my gosh,
they're just so ridiculous.
The power
you had
of
me and now
edition chasers, in every genre of collecting. Like when it comes down to it, like
it's a big deal.
It's wild too, because like I'm on TikTok all the time, right? And I scroll through TikTok, and because I watch a lot of Pokemon rips, a lot of Magic the Gathering rips, things like that.
Wow.
I'm starting to see more and more and more of the sports cards, because there's so many cards in there that if you hit one, it's just bonkers, like huge values. And it's because of the 1-for-1s, the 5 of 5s, we've cut a piece of a jersey, or here's a piece of the ball, here's a piece of the basketball net. Such great tools, right? To get people super stoked.
Yeah. It's a while too to see some prices where you'll see like a one-of-one card with a piece of a jersey that's signed sell for more than an actual game used signed jersey. That shows the value of sports cards and where the market's at. I don't know how high this can continue to fly, but good for them to like keep being creative and thinking of new ways to innovate in the collectible space, specifically for cards. because the MLB debut idea is very smart. We're probably going to see that for football too, and for other sports and basketball.
I bet it's such a trip for these spouses and partners to be signing cards, right?
Yeah, right.
Like it's an expectation if you're a pro athlete to sign things, but as their spouse, like probably you don't get that opportunity very often.
More rare if they break up.
Oh yeah, like the breakup card.
Exactly.
It's a 1 of 1.
I have the starter wife card, 1 of 1.
I mean, dude, they even I think it was Leaf. I believe it was Leaf. You can Google it, but I believe it was Leaf that made limited cards signed by Haktua Girl. I'm not even kidding. That's a real thing. And by the way, good for her.
Oh yeah.
Creating a career.
Oh yeah. I mean,
she's
yeah. Take advantage while you can.
Talk to her. That's her podcast. Talk to her.
Yeah, I haven't watched it yet, but I'm very
I love it.
Oh man,
that's amazing. Yeah, but it's really cool to see these 1 of 1 cards and to see the piece of history being put on them. There's something else I'm going to mention. I totally forgot. I don't know if it goes back to.
Yeah, you'll think about it.
We'll circle back on that. Whoa!
What's this?
Yeah, so we've had a bounty out for this for the past couple weeks. I haven't checked. I should have checked Stacker World before this live stream, so apologies. But make sure to check.
Nice.
Make sure to check Stacker World first to see if it's been minted. But if it's not minted, we are still putting out a bounty for 2024, which is the publishing year mint for Sanity number 1, 24/7 comics and also written by a good friend of the podcast, Mickey.
Yeah,
Swaggle House. If you don't follow him or subscribe to his YouTube channel, make sure to do so. He's one of the leaders in the comic book space and just an amazing human being. The guy is
he was great. I love this artwork. I love the style, kind of like the detective noir sort of gritty. Like he really picked. And he has like a really good pitch for it. Like his elevator pitch for this comic is really good. He's like, the DC Comics originally, that was Detective Comics, boys. And so what I did is I picked an era and I have it's like such a beautiful pitch from such a beautiful guy. So absolutely, grab this comic if it's still available. I think that he's going to have a long and storied comic career. At least I hope so, because this first work of his is just wonderful. I love the art. I love the story. Yeah. And like him as an individual, he spent a lot of time in our booth at New York Comic Con.
Yeah,
super
that was cool.
Gracious, was signing comics for people, doing the whole deal. Great stuff.
That's awesome. That's so awesome. Yeah, I'm also a huge fan of detective noir stories, and so is Kevin. Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
The classic 1940s film where Always Sunny in Philadelphia spoofed it. The Doorman Knocks Twice, or is that what it's called? The Doorman Knocks Twice?
Something like that, yeah. Oh, I can't think of it. It's been a long time since I've seen that movie, but very good.
I'm trying to turn that part of my brain on. Like you said Always Sunny, and I was like, that's a completely different part of my memory storage space.
Where Charlie plays he's a janitor. He plays a detective / janitor, and it's called the Janitor Always Knocks Twice. And it's a spoof, and it takes place in the 40s. That's why I love Always Sunny. They get really creative and different. And that's probably one of my favorite episodes. It's really funny. If you haven't seen that one, it's one of the past 5 seasons, so you'll know it's called The Janitor Knocks Twice. Absolutely incredible.
Nice.
Love it.
Well, that's an excuse to rewatch Sunny in Philadelphia. I'm all for it.
Yeah. Oh, and if you haven't seen this, this is a great film. One of my most favorite modern films that's a detective noir style story is called Brick. And it's actually
Brick.
Yeah, Kev. Yeah, you like Brick.
Yeah.
It was actually what brought
Levitt
back. Yeah. And also the director of that film.
Ryan Johnson.
Ryan Johnson, who did Star Wars. And he also, I think he did he do Jurassic Park recently? No, I think it was Negotiation.
No, that was a different director. Knives Out, if you're a fan of the Knives Out movies.
Oh, Knives Out. Knives Out.
Yeah, Knives Out.
And he also
I love the first Knives Out. I love that one. That's great.
And Looper was unbelievable.
Oh, yeah, Looper.
Yeah, Looper. Really good. Really good.
Yeah. So please let us know if you hit this comic. We would love to purchase it.
Oh, that was in 2005. Brick came out.
Oh, yeah.
That
was it really?
Yeah. It started Joseph Gordon-Levitt's career. He brought it back to life. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Wow.
I'm definitely going to check that out. Then. You were saying it like it was a brand new movie, and I was like, man, I don't remember because I love
more modern era. Like
he's a really great actor.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's fantastic. And on top of that, we have another announcement.
Dun, 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 dun.
Oh, yeah. We are a triple bounty.
74.
A triple bounty for 1974, which is the year of the first appearance of Punisher. Amazing Spider-Man 129.
129. Yeah.
Came out in 1974. So that's the publishing year meant for that comic.
Oh, yeah.
A comic that's available on VeVe.
On VeVe.
The secondary market, my friend.
Wish that we jumped ahead and got that 1974. That is a very awesome.
I know.
Yeah, but we're putting a bounty out for the common, uncommon, and rare. So the common, we have a bounty for 1,000, uncommon 2,000, and the rare 3,000. So we've only hit 2 bounties so far. So we're
I know.
Yeah, so
I'm surprised.
Yeah, I know. Me too. Hopefully we can hit one of these. It says a lot about the market, though. It's cool to see other people who are excited about it. If other people buy it, it's no hard feelings. It's all good.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And if you want to keep it too, that's great. But just know this is the floor for those specific bids. So if you're interested in selling to us, definitely hit us up, and we'd love to purchase them.
Yeah.
And speaking of which, whoa! The Evolvable drop is coming in 8 days. Really exciting. Really exciting.
We are too. This is a big one for us. This has been a lot of work going into this to get this thing going.
I can't imagine.
And considering it's complex, but you laid it out so simply, and I was able to process it so well, and I think everyone has been able to process it really well. And it's so exciting to see a chaser. I mean, we're talking about sports cards.
And that's one of my primary things that I love about it. And if you're watching this right now and you're like, I don't agree with Sean, this wasn't simple at all, and I'm very confused. Don't worry. We've already recorded an explainer video, which is going to be coming out across our channels in the upcoming week before the drop. So we're going to have a very well laid out explanation of how this whole thing works, why we did what we did, and all that good stuff. And it features people like Ben and Dan and David and Corey. Hey.
Oh, let's go. Let's go.
The whole team.
Wow. The whole team.
That's awesome. Yeah, and before we dive into the details, again, everyone out there, if you have any questions about the collectible space, physical, digital, this VeVe drop happening soon, please write them in the comments. We'd love to answer them for you. But yeah, this is really exciting. The common chaser is more scarce than the secret rare, which is pretty wild.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
And even though those editions seem high, like obviously the common editions are required for movement forward.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a huge deflationary burn. So that I think it's 6,800 and something gets reduced immediately by all of the uncommon editions. And so we really liked that, but we also wanted to have that sort of chaser element. It's something we've always wanted to do. And it's largely because just like we were talking about just a few minutes ago with the Topps card and the 1-for-1, right? Like it's nice to have an element of chase within it without squeezing a secret rare, which is required for a set completion down to a point where an average person can't complete the set.
Yeah.
And so this makes everyone happy. The person that's really going to go for those really low edition things, they're happy. And the people that want to clear sets because they just love collecting sets, they want those MCP points, they're happy too.
Yeah.
So I dig it. And again, this is the first ever model. I know you're probably going to talk about it a bit, Sean. This is the first ever model. It was designed to be feedback oriented. And so every stage of these drops, like this is a blueprint for how evolvables will work. And every stage can be adjusted over time. So please leave us feedback. You can do that on VeVe.me. Go to the bottom right-hand corner, click feedback, give it right to us. And we'll take that all into account.
That's awesome. And super cool for the first one to be involved with Marvel. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Super cool to see that.
We've done a lot of firsts with Marvel, right? Like some of the, I think one of the most exciting things, we got the comics initially. I can remember, what was that? New York Comic Con 2020. What was Fantastic 413? That was our first ever VeVe exclusive variant.
Yes.
And that was in New York Comic Con. I'm trying to remember what year it was though.
2022 probably.
Was it 2?
Yeah.
We've had a lot of really amazing firsts. And so it's cool to have an IP like Frank Castle's Punisher as a first appearance collectible and to also be part of a brand new drop model. So super, super cool.
This is going to be so fun. So the way it works, you buy the common, and then obviously if you hit the special edition, I really hope that nobody burns the chaser by accident.
You can't. It's a standalone set. So if you get that chaser, it's a standalone set. It's by itself. It's not.
Right. That's because you have to pick the actual collectible, and it won't let you pick that collectible.
Yeah, correct.
Fantastic. I am so happy to hear.
And I love that the white accents for the chaser It's really simple, but it really works with, you know, Punisher colors being that black and white theme. Just looks really, really nice.
I'm really excited for the tweets that come out and say, I hit the common, but I can't craft it. What's going on? That's going to happen. You know what's going to happen? And the joy
DM me.
The joy that they're going to find out when it's incredibly special.
I think that one's defective. You might want to message me.
Yeah,
weird. Help you out with that. It's a chaser, folks. It's a good one. Okay,
it's a good one.
It's not defective. If you get it, I promise.
If you get it, hold it, please.
Yes.
Or give it to us.
So on November 30th at 8 a.m. PST, you have a chance to go after the common. And then if you hit the common, you'll be able to burn that for the uncommon.
Yeah, and a couple notes here is each one of these is split by 24 hours. We didn't want to lump it all together where it's just one chase on one day and people need to spend all this money on a singular day. Us splitting it across days allows people the time to prepare, you know, financially. I love that so much. And also is obviously going to reduce some strain on our systems as, you know, large amounts of input suddenly come in. It's the first ever Evolvables. This will be a new technology for us. We're very confident that's going to go off without a hitch, but spreading out also eases some of that.
That's great because now it's now turned into Punisher Week, which I love.
Yeah, to me, that's just more fun. It's engaging. You get to have more fun stuff just for like 1 second, just click on a button, and now you have next day. Oh, that's cool.
From like a content marketing perspective, it's fun for us because now we can release like videos and images of each and every collectible individually because each and every one's releasing on its own day as opposed to all of it releasing at the same time. We only want this video to be 60 seconds, you know, so you only get to give each collectible, you know, 4 to 10 seconds of glory. But whenever it's split out like this, you know, every collectible gets some love, and they should because these are beautiful. Like the production team and the artists really did a good job on this Punisher sculpt. Like the fabric itself, once you guys are able to like really zoom in and look at this, but like the fabric itself, the textures of the gun, like even the stubble on his chin and like there's pores, like this is a very, very detailed and beautiful collectible.
And then later on,
like
go ahead, Kevin.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, I've only been able to see the images you guys have released so far, but even that stubble, when I saw it, I was like, ooh, that's very good. Like, it's
really legit.
Feel it. Yeah. It's like, dang.
And we'll dive into the rare in a second because I believe there's some subtle animation for the rare.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay, cool. We'll dive into that in a sec. So it's really cool, guys. Keep this in mind that the crafting window is very tight for this, for the uncommon, I believe. So it says right here on December 1st, later that night at midnight, crafting is going to close. Is that correct, Corey?
Let me confirm that just to be sure. I knew that they were separated by 24 hours, but I didn't make the actual mechanics. So just let me confirm that and I'll get back just to be sure.
So just a heads up, make sure you guys are aware of that. If you are interested in crafting for the uncommon, make sure just to really pay attention on that on December 1st. Just make sure
crafting will close 1 December. I see what they did. Okay. Let me just double check that. It's good if it's that way in a way because limited crafting creates, you know, a big drive to get in there and do it.
Totally. Yeah. Actually, I was curious about that with how big the window would be. Would it last throughout the entire week or even a few weeks afterwards for all the collectibles?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but that's a big deal. So make sure you guys pay attention and definitely be involved in the app on December 1st. So yeah, it's really cool.
No, all remaining uncrafted. That's by design. Okay. Yeah, that's all good.
Will be burned after the date. Wow. Yeah. I'm curious. And then right here, if you want to burn or if you want to craft for the rare, you get a craft for the uncommon, and then you craft for the rare the following day on December 2nd. And this, look at the texture on the leather too.
This one's really nice. Static animation. So it looks really good whenever you put all of them together. Like if you get them all together and you put them all together, because the animation kind of sequences across to all. So it kind of looks like wind blowing. And it was kind of complex for them to actually do the animation because that leather fabric is very, very detailed and it's thin as well. And you got to keep in mind whenever they're rigging, like now you have like this texture layer that's going like this. So you could have clipping where it like clips through and it creates issues. So it took a lot of time to add that in there, and it turned out really, really amazingly. And then obviously as you're moving through these stages, the amount of MCP points required shifts slightly. And then also the price points shift slightly. So, which was important whenever we were putting that together. Because we do want MCP points to have valid uses. And so we're looking for more and more ways where we can incorporate collector rewards, which everyone is earning into these.
Yeah, exactly. So the initial common is 20 gems. That's it. 20 gems to get the common, and also to have a chance to chase for the chaser. And then the uncommon will be 500 MCP points plus 7 gems, which is really beyond reasonable. And I love how you broke it down and you explained it as well. Like the total cost going out with the secret rare is still the same price, if not potentially a little cheaper than the average cost for a lot of collectibles with those mini editions.
For sure. For
That's
sure.
really excellent breakdown on that. So, yeah. So this, if you want the rare, you need to burn the uncommon for 7 gems and 500 MCP points, and then
move right on to the next. Yep.
Sorry, that was the uncommon, and then the rare, 7 gems, burn the uncommon plus 1,000 MCP points, and then on December 3rd, this is the ultra rare, which you need to burn the rare for 5,000 MCP points, and it's also 10 gems. Very reasonable. That's going to sell it instantly. And then the secret rare, so sick. Look at that. It's so
really nice.
Yeah, it's so awesome. And for the secret rare, you need to burn the ultra rare plus 10 gems and 20,000 MCP points.
Yep. Which is a nice just spread of cost across all of them.
Yeah.
The secret rare looks really, really cool. He's kind of like bent over in a pose like he just like jumped out of a vehicle or something, and he's getting ready to do what he does. Really, really slick.
Yeah. And Omar, you may have just joined us, but are each collectible considered a set because of the craft? So the 4 collectibles, the common, uncommon, rare, ultra rare, secret rare, 5 are part of a set.
Yep, that's one
and
set.
Then you have the chaser for the common, which is an entire set. If you get that, it's a set by itself. So
and then you can just, post it on Twitter and start celebrating. Man, hitting the chaser is going to be wild.
Yeah.
Such a cool thing.
That's going to be so fun. I'm so excited for it. That's great. Yeah. And there's only 300 total editions of this collectible. Probably even less, I believe. Yeah, 18, so less than 300.
And let me take a look really quick before I say anything, so the chip in my neck doesn't explode for leaking company information ahead of time.
Video Shane, yo, buddy.
Hi, Video Shane. How you doing?
Oh, hey.
But yeah, if you have the ability, to place all these together into a scene, it makes for some beautiful AR content, which ties into what we're doing with the VeVeverse. Obviously, like we're starting to release more and more information about the VeVeverse. You can look forward to basically weekly updates where we're going to be working with beta testers, where they have the ability to now share what they've been doing in beta with Dan and Ben and Aaron. Nice. And so I'm really excited because I've seen some VeVeverse showrooms that have basically been themed in a way that would really fit this specific set really well. And I think that's kind of the beauty of the VeVeverse and being able to create, what is it that Ben and Dan have like a clever way. It's like your multiverse of spaces, like a collection of multiversal spaces. Each showroom, you can make it completely unique, but you could build one out around this and it would just look spectacular.
Yeah. 100%. What's up, Charlie? Yo.
Hey, Charlie.
Oh,
hey, guys.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Yeah, bring on the Punisher. We're super excited.
Oh, yeah.
I'm so happy for Punisher. Street level heroes are like my jam. Like,
exactly.
I love the powerhouses, and the wild powers and everything. But there's just something about a dude with a vendetta who's had some training that's just fed up with it. I think all of us can relate to that in just some kind of way.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's what's made, Frank Castle endure. What, 1974? Is that right? That's a character that's been used in countless comics and now TV shows. And I think Daredevil Born Again next year, 2025, going to be, they got the same actor. Who's that actor? Same guy from Walking Dead.
Shane.
He's fantastic.
Bernthal?
John Bernthal. John Bernthal. Yeah.
He's perfect. He's
great.
As Frank Castle. So good. And so I'm happy they kept Charlie Cox for Daredevil because I love Charlie Cox as Daredevil.
Oh yeah.
And we get to keep Bernthal. So having those two together, I got high hopes for next year for television series.
Yeah, it's really.
Although shout out to Thomas Jane, who was the original Punisher.
He's great too.
Yeah, I love that movie.
I liked it
Liked
too.
it.
That was great.
I like the spaghetti. Is that the one where there's like the huge buff guy and like a striped shirt?
Oh yeah, the
and
Russian
he
dude. Yeah,
stabs him for real, right? Like
yeah,
they have
yeah.
a choreographed
yeah.
fight, and
Do you not
there's
know
a
about that, Sean?
switchblade. Yeah. And
Oh,
there's
so
this
what happens?
Italian
Yeah.
opera playing while he's making spaghetti, essentially.
I remember that scene.
Busts
Yeah.
in, and he stabs him in the chest, and he actually stabs. It's not a prop knife. He actually stabs him, and the guy just acts right through the thing, pretends that it didn't happen. So whenever you see him get stabbed in that movie, like he's actually getting stabbed in that movie, and that's like a knife that's probably like 4.5 inches.
Yeah.
What happened?
So there's like multiple different like stunt knives. There's ones that retract, and there are some that are harder but not like real. Well, it was originally supposed to be the retracted one, but I guess it was a hard day, lots of shooting. They handed him the wrong knife, and it was one of the harder ones. And so he went for it and just stabbed him, and the guy just didn't flinch. He just did the action, pulled it out, and it's in the movie.
He was like,
like
nothing.
Yeah. And it's in the movie. You're like, what the hell?
What is that? That's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I can't believe I've never heard that story. That's wild. Thanks for sharing that.
There's also the Punisher. We can't forget. It's the guy from Rocky. The Dolph Lundgren. Isn't there a Dolph Lundgren Punisher movie too?
Oh my God, from the 80s. I forgot about that.
Oh, it does like knife zooming, like throws the knife and it like zooms in on the knife and throws it.
You know why I keep forgetting about that?
It's really good.
I keep forgetting because he doesn't wear the skull jersey ever. They got rid of it for that movie. But yeah, it's the Punisher with Dolph Lundgren. I forgot about that.
Wow.
He has black hair. Yeah, it's crazy.
That's awesome.
I forgot about
the Punisher over time.
Man.
I need to watch The Penguin. Like that's the 100th comment I've seen about how
I haven't finished it yet. I've started it. I'm on like episode 4 or 5. So far, I'm liking it. It's pretty good.
Colin Farrell's just brilliant.
Yeah.
Like that guy can do anything. Like he can do anything acting wise. Really dynamic.
He's one of my favorite films of all time is In Bruges. And
In Bruges?
In Bruges. And it's a film that it came out in 2008. And up until that point, I was always like, yeah, Colin Farrell's fine. And it's always, I love those films where you see one film with an actor and it changes everything you feel about the actor. Now, like after seeing that movie, I am the biggest Colin Farrell fan from
I've not seen this.
Oh man,
director Martin McDonagh.
I'm not going to say anything. You're just going to watch it.
Just watch it from beginning to end.
That's why I like chatting with you guys. Like at the end of this, I've got a movie. I've got 2 movies to watch. I need to watch Brick, and I need to watch In Bruges.
In Bruges.
What an amazing double feature movie night! I am so.
Oh my God, I want to do that now. Even
that's a great double feature movie night.
It is. Oh wow.
Yeah.
It's and it's funny. I just thought about it. Colin Farrell was also in the Daredevil movie.
Oh yeah, Bullseye.
Bullseye.
Final scene, it's a fly. He nails a fly. Man, I forgot about that. He was.
I remember that.
Not terrible.
Bullseye.
Bullseye.
Now the Bullseye in the television show is a menace. Like that's actually in terms of like a portrayal of that character.
Yeah.
Like that is a really, really good portrayal of the character. But man, I totally forgot about that. Colin Farrell too. That's like
it all comes around.
The Sony Wild version that they do.
Oh yeah,
with the movie properties.
Yeah,
those early 2000 superhero movies. Woo!
And going back to Daredevil, there was a lot of hype on that series. There was like apparently 20 episodes in season 1.
It's probably
season 1 Daredevil. Really?
It's probably one of my favorite live action superhero takes ever, and I think it's because in season 1 they did a scene with Charlie Cox where you're kind of figuring out what this character is about, and they do this uncut take, this uncut choreographed fight scene that follows him for it's probably like 2 or 3 minutes uncut, and they do a good job of portraying what he is, and like yes, he has some superhuman aspect, but he is just like when it comes down to it, he's just a really scrappy, well-trained man that does have some heightened senses. And so it was that first for my wife. She's like, it's a little boring. Like I also like law procedural kind of things, right? Like I like that element of that character.
Yeah.
You know, he fights justice, but then he like brings justice, right? Like there's two big parts to that character, and the show just does a really good job of showing both of them.
Yeah.
No offense, Ben Affleck. But that for me was like that was the like crazy sort of like almost like a caricature of what that hero, like the spirit of who that hero is. And we really can thank like Frank Miller, like really like the Frank Miller era of comics, whenever he, I wouldn't say fixed, but the way he took like a darker, grittier take on these heroes really set the standard. And then anytime a studio's tried to make a movie or a television show that didn't really stay in line with what he created, that genre, it's flopped. And anytime they kind of stick with the spirit of the characters as defined by Frank Miller in that era, it does well. And that's just my observation.
Well, I mean, it's the flaw. He added more of the flaw for the person. Like you were talking about Charlie Cox and Daredevil. That's what I liked. I liked the idea that he had those two warring sides. One is justice in court, the other is justice on the street. And they kind of clash a little bit. And he even kind of is struggling with that and where that is for him. And to me, that makes a more compelling character. You know, Absolutely. Batman has that. When he started coming out with that was like so like integral to it. Like, how far should I go? What does that mean? And I think that's what Frank Miller brought a lot in that time, was just the conflict and flaws of just being like a brutal, you know, beat him up kind of person, but also I'm justice. It's like, oh man, how do you live with that?
Yeah, how do you continue both of those?
Yeah. And I really appreciate that idea kind of transitioning to cinema. We're not seeing Marvel really candy coat their characters anymore or their stories, which is really awesome, because especially when Deadpool came out, that was a huge deal, obviously. That set the path for Logan, and then that set the path for everything else that they're building now. I mean, Marvel Zombies is coming out, and that's going to be a mature.
Should be interesting.
It's an MA series. Yeah. It's an MA series of Marvel Zombies. That's wild.
It should be.
See that? No, it's confirmed. It's confirmed that it is.
I just feel like with certain source materials created by certain creatives, and I'm talking authors, visual mediums, like if you just adapt what they've created and stay true to it, it works. Like whenever I think of Frank Miller, I think of Sin City, I think of 300, and not just the graphic novels, but I think of how that was represented in a movie and how well received it was because they stuck with the themes. But then I think about some things that I've enjoyed, but I've ended up flopping, would be like Game of Thrones, where they took the source material, they stayed true, but then they're like, let's add our own twist to it. It's almost presumptuous, I feel sometimes. Again, Corey's opinion, statements and opinions offered by Corey may not be reflective of VeVe or any of the companies or stakeholders that we work from. These are purely my own thoughts and opinions. But for me, sometimes whenever they deviate from the source material, it's so presumptuous to think that you are more creative than the person the genesis, like the person that came up with that idea. Yeah. And you're really betraying a lot of the people who the reason they came here for this is because of that source material.
Yes. Yeah.
It wasn't because of some flashy promo you put up. It's because they know that name, because they read the book, the comic, the graphic novel, and they love it for that.
Yeah. And that's why I love to hear the actual authors, like J.K. Rowling. She was heavily involved in the Harry Potter series. She's heavily involved. And I appreciate that, because they're trying to make sure that they stay true. Obviously, you got to try to do something a little different, but it was just different enough. And now they're rebooting turning into a whole series, and it's like, okay,
what's that going to be?
I don't know. I'm cautious.
So from what I've heard and what I've read, it's basically they're trying to do a more faithful adaptation of the books into a live action format, which is why they're doing it as a series instead of movies. Yeah. Because you can do these long arcs and things that, you know, were left out of the movies, stuff that even I'm hearing about that I'm like, I didn't know that was a part of that. Yeah. Well, apparently it was a huge thing that I was like, I did not know.
A lot of stuff they cut out.
So that's really why they're doing it. They're just trying to make that adaptation, as well as probably make more money. But to go back to what you're saying, Corey, I feel the same way about Star Wars. Like, to me, the thing that Disney isn't doing right is that they're not still being faithful to the original source material. And that was hard even for George Lucas himself to be faithful to that original thing. But nowadays, like you watch, like I saw the trailer for Skeleton Crew, and at one point I just went, why is this Star Wars? Like they didn't feel familiar. It didn't even feel like the same universe. And it feels weird. Like I get wanting to do something new, but it should have that familiarity to it.
For me with Star Wars, it's like you have centuries of time to explore, and we just keep re-exploring such a small segment of such a huge, gigantic because you have the Star Wars Legends books. And now we're talking centuries. Like we're talking,
Knights of the Old Republic, man.
There's a lot of stuff to explore, but I think there's also an issue with the fandom, and like I've read the Legends books, some of them. I haven't read all of them because there's so many of them. That's like going into Warhammer 40K. Like that's a whole other thing, right? Like Henry Cavill's talking about that. I'm like, oh Lord, like, am I even gonna try to like understand the lore behind it? But I think the trick whenever you're introducing these things is that you very clearly create some delineation between what's known and what is unknown, and where you're going to be exploring. Because if you don't do that, then it creates a lot of unrest for the people watching it. They're confused, they're frustrated, especially if you're seeing characters that have known canon appear and that doesn't make sense and you can't. Because the truth is, much like I said, not everyone has time to read all those books. And so they usually listen to the people who, quote unquote, have read those books, content creators, influencers. And so whenever you see feedback by those types of people on huge channels, that'll dramatically change your opinion. Instead of just going into, I try to go into everything with an open mind. Like the second I sit down to watch a TV show or a movie, I try to forget everything else about it and be like, I'm going to take this for what it is and see how, like Andor for me.
Oh yeah.
I was like, wow, like this is a story in a known universe that I've never seen explored before. I love everything about this. Like, I don't need space magic. I don't need lightsabers. Like that's cool. But for the context of this self-contained story, it's a beautiful story. And so for me, as long as the story works, I can forgive a lot. I've had some issues with storytelling across a lot of different, not just Star Wars,
a lot of things.
And which is a bummer, but I think that's just part of us getting older as an audience. Like, unfortunately, we are the boomers now. Like when it comes down to it, the younger generation is going to take some of these source materials and imprint themselves what's acceptable to them, what they like. Shooting, the way some things are being composed now are different than I've seen. Like I can remember seeing The Matrix. I was just in a meeting at VeVe, like a leadership team meeting, and one of the other people leaders, her favorite movie was The Matrix. And I was like, man, I haven't thought about The Matrix in a while. And one of the things I loved about that movie is that they created so many new shots. And now those shots have been redone so many times. And now you have like the next generation. Oh, look at you pulling out. Is that signed by everyone in the cast? Does that have a sticker for,
I know, it's even better. It's actually an Academy screener. So for your consideration.
I knew it.
Let's do something.
Still sealed. I actually haven't gotten this graded yet. Because
what's your thoughts on it? Like, what do you think it's going to grade, and what would that mean?
Getting it graded? It just basically essentially gives it.
No. If you get it graded, what do you think it's going to be graded at, and what would that mean for value?
I'd probably give it to. I would say at least
10.0. Yeah, 10.
At least probably an 8590 at least. Yeah, it's in really good condition. The seal's fantastic. These are insanely rare to find. I mean, I've only seen like 2 or 3 in like 5 years. So this is one of my first big purchases I ever made for VHS, and I've actually just held off from grading it because my dream is to get it signed by Keanu Reeves one day. I just want to meet him and give him a big hug. Like I adore him in every single way possible. He's just one of the most wonderful human beings on this planet.
I love listening.
Okay, this is a good story. This is a really good story.
I'm ready.
I may have shared it with you guys already. So, but anyway, out there, if you haven't heard this story, this is great. So, back in the early 90s. There was a woman that was on the side of the road. Her car broke down. She didn't have a phone. She couldn't contact anybody. And she was going to an audition. She was freaking out. So this guy on a motorcycle comes up. And he pulls up behind her and says, hey, is everything okay? She said, no, I'm freaking out. I have an audition soon. And, I can't go. And he helps her get to the audition. But before he does that, he takes off his helmet. And guess what? It was
It's
Keanu
Keanu Reeves.
Spoiler alert! I bet you didn't see that.
Keanu Reeves.
I can't believe it, Sean.
He helps him get to the audition. But actually, here's the actual Shyamalan twist. That girl was actually Academy Award winner Octavia Spencer.
Oh, that's
Octavia
cool.
Spencer. Yeah. That is an amazing, yeah. One of the many things that Keanu Reeves has done as a wonderful human being. And I just love seeing him behind the scene photos of him, he's like during breaks, he'll just go off and just talk to random people on the streets, or he'll hang out with homeless people and just talk and engage like human beings. And it's really freaking awesome to see that. And then on top of that, during sets, you're not allowed to do this at all. You're crossing unions at this point, but he's like helping people carry Pelican cases and helping makeup artists. I've known people who worked with him personally and said he's an absolute gem, like the nicest
gem of a human.
Yeah. So, Keanu, if you're hearing this,
what's his comic? You got me one of his comics from one of the previous conventions.
Berserker, yeah.
Berserker.
Yeah. So that actually is a Boom Studio comic, and that's going to be turned into a live action film on Netflix and also an animated anime series on Netflix as well.
It reminds me a lot of on VeVe with 24/7 comics. We have Evermind. We were talking about Mickey earlier. 24/7, and I was able to interview Daniel Wu, and David Quinn, like all the people that were in Sean, all of them involved with that. And they were talking about that specifically. Like the nice thing about doing a comic whenever you all are basically the stakeholders and you haven't relinquished control to corporate overlords is if it does well, like you have the ability then to action it into a television series, into a movie, into a video game, into a board game, into a TCG set. And so that's like my hope. Like I like hearing about someone like Keanu Reeves doing something like that, because there's so many parallels into products and things that we have on VeVe, but also just people we love, like Carl Choi. We love 24/7 and that crew, and we want them to do well. So whenever we see adjacent people doing that, it's like, gosh, I hope everyone wins here, because that's the core premise of collecting, I think, is honoring the creators and the creatives that are creating the things that we all love to talk about and share and geek out about for an hour and a half on a Friday. Right.
Exactly. Yeah. And very similarly with James Tynion, his series, he's been crushing it in the comic world, and he started his own production company. His own, I think it's not just a production company. He's doing
What's the name of it? It's Onion?
His original one is Tiny Onion.
Onion.
Yeah, but I think he went and create something massive. So basically, he's going to be a co-production studio with Netflix to create something is killing the children, which is something we've been talking about for a couple of 5 years now, since the pandemic. That series was supposed to happen a while ago and ended up just kind of falling apart a little bit. Mike Flanagan was attached to it, and he abandoned ship, and then someone else came on. So now he's been releasing photos of scripts being written, so we know it's like happening, which is going to be insane. That comic, I'm all caught up now on House of Slaughter, and something's killing the children finally. So I'm stoked. Yeah, it's going to be a wild
There's such
series.
a parallel between graphic novels and comics.
Caramel. I do like caramel.
Yeah, and caramel, delicious caramel. Put it on your banana that you spent $6.8 million for, right? But there's such a parallel to there, and I didn't realize that until I talked to Addy Granoff. I had Addy Granoff on our channel, the VeVe channel, and I did basically an artist spotlight, and we kind of talked through his life. And the way he draws is very cinematic, and how he stages something, because he needs to imagine physically. He's very almost engineering oriented. He needs to imagine physically the scene to build it and compose it and paint it. And because of that, he essentially, once he came to the United States, because he had to flee from a genocide that was occurring also. He has an amazing, if you all haven't watched that video on our YouTube channel with me and Addy Granoff talking, it hasn't got a ton of views, and you all are missing out, because that is probably one of the best interviews I've ever done with an individual in terms of learning about their history and what shaped them into what they would later become. Wow. And like when Addy Granoff and his family escaped, genocide and came to America, he was so much better than, and by better, I mean his style was so far advanced because he was learning and mastering his craft under oil lamps, because there was no everything. All the candles had been burned to nothing. Legend. All of the electricity had been gone. They're all refugees hiding, and him and his family are pedaling a bicycle to power a light so he can sketch. And so by the time he got to the United States and he started like legitimate classes, he was so far beyond because he didn't have a yardstick for measurement. Like if you go to school to be an artist, you measure yourself against what you know are the greats and the people around you. Whenever you create art in a vacuum and you have that sort of innate talent that's handed down from the gods above, like you become this thing. So whenever he came to the United States, immediately he started working, he bounced around, but whenever he landed at Marvel, he made a quick transition into Marvel Studios. And so like the first Iron Man movies, his Extremis comic, they walked around with that as like a set Bible for how they should be shooting the shots, how that suit should be designed, because again, engineering focus with the way he creates his artwork. And so what you're talking about, Sean, it just makes so much sense to me because that sort of visual medium, graphic novels and comics, has such power to influence. Again, 300 we talked about, another basically 1-to-1. Sin City, another 1-to-1. Watchmen, you know, basically another 1-to-1 with very little deviation from source. And so the opportunity's there. I'm just hoping that all of these people that we're talking about, they find it and they do it, because it sure would be cool. I've never really got to be on the inside of a thing before it happened. You know, I think it's something all of us in the collecting world want to, like, I was early, like, oh, you know, like I was early on, but it's even neater, like a Roth, you know, Metaverse Life. It's one thing I love about him is the things that he's doing. Like, I hope he's so successful so I can be like, I knew that guy. Like that movie you're saying, like, I know him, like I talked to him. He's a beautiful human being, you know, like, and so I really hope to see that transition in a lot of our comic properties, both on VeVe and with 24/7 and, you know, all around.
I love that so much. Wow. Make sure to check out that video, guys. If you're not subscribed to the VeVe Collectibles digital YouTube channel, make sure to do so ASAP and just watch that video. Yeah.
Please go see that interview. I'm gonna go check it out.
Yeah,
it's amazing. Heartbreaking and beautiful. He says something that it's actually become like a personal mantra for me, ironically enough, is he says something and it's, I always believed that if my art was undeniable, everything else would fall in place. And so now whenever I work as a creative in my role leading a creative team, it's something I say as like, if we can make this undeniable, everything else will fall into place. And I'm talking about internal approvals, licensor approvals, creative approvals, because we have to go through a process to release different promotions and marketing and telling the story of the things that we all love to collect. And so, like, I think about that all the time. Like, whenever I'm working on something, I'm like, this is good enough. But is it undeniable? Like, have I made it so good that, you know, there couldn't even really be feedback? Really amazing human being. Actually got to talk to him at New York Comic Con 2024. I had him sign a comic to my wife, and I got a couple comics from him and chatted him up. And,
that's so cool.
He even remembered me. So that's something from a guy like that, right? Who probably talks to a lot of people all the time.
It's really fun. That's one of the things that we really love about this content channel and just building this out, and is meeting so many amazing people. Like, we had a chance to get to know 24/7 Comics a year or two before, or 2 or 3 years ago, and we've gotten a chance to get to know Carl and Mickey and be part of that, them building their company, and then seeing the collaboration between you guys, seeing the worlds come together, and all the relationships and friendships that we've been able to build and grow. And it's just been a blast, man. Just being friends with all these awesome people. It's a really cool experience, man. I'm just really blessed, you know.
Awesome space
to
be in for all of us.
Yeah.
And I agree, Poppy.
Poppy. I was about to say that. I was like, I agree, Poppy. VeVe needs
that was the full loop circle. I actually will genuinely freak out once if Boom ever does come on TV. David,
if you're watching, people have spoken. We're all in agreement. You got to extend the olive branch, send the edible fruit arrangement, the gift basket for Christmas.
Edible fruit arrangement.
Let's get him on board.
And there were some amazing sales today on Heritage. Thanks
wow!
An original art piece from New Mutants 87, which is the first. 23 from the comics sold for $81,000 today, and then also from New Mutants 98, first appearance of Deadpool.
Wow!
Nice.
14 sold for $960,000. So that is a massive sale. Very massive sale.
Wow, that's awesome,
man.
Thank you for that, Omar. Appreciate that.
Matthew's asking, I wonder how a paint pen or marker would do with shrink wrap on plastic over VHS though. So we have both we have examples of that. Yeah, we have actually examples of both that. I've been through some interesting situations using post.
You had one rub off a bunch of times. Like you were showing me at I think a convention.
So this tape was a sealed tape of Back to the Future 2. It was a screener that I purchased from somebody who's basically was there at the beginning of the distributing business, distribution, and he's such an awesome guy. And he was involved in video distribution for 25 plus years, and it turned out actually this tape couldn't officially get graded because it was considered a reseal. Now I don't think there was any foul play. I know there was no foul play in the situation. I think it happens. You know, these are screeners. Nobody looked at them as valuable things back then, and they would just reseal them and give them out. But I was able to get it signed by the whole cast of Back to the Future. Wow! And I used a Posca pen, and the plastic didn't attach to the Posca paint, and it would flake off.
The ink in the paint
dried, just like
So right after I met Christopher Lloyd, it just literally like this and just blew right off. Yeah. So I went over to the booth and I talked to them, and they were so kind about it. I was like, guys, look at this. Can I please just get it? And it's expensive to get these signatures. Yeah. So, and they were like, look, no problem. Let's just go back to the front. And Christopher signed it again. Actually, it worked out better because the first time he signed it, he took up all the room. So I actually, very rare occurrence, I was able to.
I'm the star, kid.
Yeah. And then I was talking to, I think it was his manager. And I said, can you ask Chris to sign it like smaller, like at the top? And she's like, honey, good luck. You can talk to him. And he was cool about it. He was a really awesome guy. It was really fun talking to him. But he signed it, and it worked out great. And it's a hit or miss, but I usually use Posca pens. So Posca pens, Posca, especially for the ones that are commercially sold. Usually that plastic stays on very, very well. I would say keep it in a plastic case after you do so. Keep it really isolated by itself, so it doesn't have any chance of the signature getting ruined before you take it in for grading. Yeah,
I mean, they're also, if you can buy a few like really cheap, VHS tapes that have some plastic on them and test if you can.
Yeah,
we find that just helps. Some of this stuff, sometimes it's Sharpies that work better. Sometimes it's the Posca pens. Yeah. It really kind of comes down to how old the plastic is. Yeah. We're finding that the older the plastic, the harder the Posca pins sit on there. So like those ones are more Sharpie orientated. Newer ones, Posca pens are fine. It's kind of a mixed bag sometimes, but Posca pens will have like the cleaner look. They'll have a little bit more of a sharper, defined, look to them.
So you can get plastic cases that go around it. Yeah. Around right. So this is a Back to the Future 2, a first print sealed tape, and it's triple signed by Thomas F. Wilson, Chris Floyd, and Michael J. Fox. And I used a Posca pen for this, and same with Back to the Future. Oh, that's the backside. Back to the Future 3 as well. So and it looks fantastic. It pops really well. So
it's such a piece of history, right? Like those 3 signatures on that. That's wild to see.
So I was so blessed to be able to have a chance to meet them twice, actually. We were in LA Comic Con recently, and I have
Leah Thompson. Woo!
I met Leah Thompson, and it was just so fun chatting with her. She's such a sweet woman. She's a really, really nice person. Yeah. So it was fun chatting with her a little bit and get stuff signed, and it's fun, man. It's really fun to get these VHS tapes signed. I was never really into signatures from actors until the VHS market. I got into the VHS market. Now I'm obsessed. Now I'm like, okay, I got to buy stuff because I want to meet this person. I mean, my brother, he doesn't watch my stuff. So anyway, my brother, I got him a Blue's Clues. He loved Blue's Clues growing up. And I actually, Steve, the original Steve of Blue's Clues was at a signing, and I got a screener tape of Blue's Clues, and I had him sign it and talk to him about it a little bit. Yeah, so
that's
Christmas
wild.
Gift. So if you talk to my brother, don't tell him. Don't tell him it's his Christmas gift.
Steve is on TikTok now, and it's so cathartic to see someone that's like our age after the Blue's Clues thing, and he basically now just talks to us as adults. How are you all doing? How are you all doing since I saw you last? Like this really like calm, almost meditative stuff.
I've seen like
what a trip.
Yeah, I've seen Sesame Street do that a few times where they'll be like, how's everybody going? How's the updates? And everyone's like, not good.
We're struggling. Oh my gosh.
And Steve's talked about that too a lot, and mental health.
Yeah.
That's really it. That's what his content's really focused about on TikTok is mental health.
That's good.
Adult mental health. which is wild because he's kind of, generationally, the people that he was influencing that were children now are, living the dream as adults, whatever that dream might be for you.
In fact, you know what, Steve? It was because of Blue's Clues that we're our best up. You know what? It's your fault. We were talking to a talking dog.
Well, this has been a blast, guys. I'm really excited for this drop. And to end with
it's going to be a good one.
It's going to be a great one. As the amazing Ben Rose says,
yeah.
Let's shout out to Ben, who's been doing a fantastic job.
Yeah, huge shout to Ben.
With us, both, with the community and with us as a team. It's been a pleasure having him working with us, and it's really changing the way that we're doing business in a good way.
Yeah.
So
that's so
really,
exciting.
really enjoy having him around.
Big shout out to Ben. We're excited to have him on the channel again. Such an awesome guy.
Yeah.
And make sure everyone read the VeVe blog. Know the details of this drop because
and coming too.
You may
video.
You might have a video coming too. Heads up for the video coming out, and make sure you follow the details because potentially for the comment could be only a 24-hour period of crafting. So make sure to keep an eye.
I'm pretty sure that's correct, but I'll feel better once I just ask because I think it is engineered like that. Like you've got a 24-hour period essentially before the burns. Because we want to make sure those burns were locked in. For the addition.
That makes sense.
And also you can buy them in the marketplace or also on. Is that correct? Marketplace or the store for the.
I believe so. I believe so.
Yeah. So make sure to check those kind of details, guys. So you're just fully aware of what's going on.
But yeah, the explainer video that's going to be coming out, which should be early next week, and that has Dan and me, a couple messages from David Yu and Ben Rose. David talks about Punisher as an IP and how important that is to us.
Oh, nice.
Ben's going to talk a little bit about Evolvables and what that means in terms of innovation in the digital collecting space. And then Dan and I have our own segment where we just talk through the crafting and nerd out about how amazing, all that
love it.
And we kind of step by step it. So more information is coming. Just stay tuned.
I love it. And a big shout out to VeVe.
Yeah.
We could not be more excited about our upcoming Evolvables launch. Thank you for their patience. Awesome.
I know that. I know those people.
I know those people. I know those guys.
And everyone out there, we're having this amazing giveaway right now with our partner Mentalox. Big shout out to Mentalox. We're running this ASM 252 original
beautiful
variant cover. It's probably one of my favorite covers. It's amazing. And it's signed by David and Dan. So this is make sure to get involved in this giveaway.
Here it is.
Look
at that.
There it is. Or you can go to our Twitter account and it's pinned to the top. And of course, make sure to keep an eye out. That's not it. That's not it.
Keep an eye out for his girlfriend.
Beyonce sign pops.
We have a bounty. If you didn't hear this already, we have a bounty out for 1974 for the common, uncommon, and rare. The prices are different. Commons 1,000, uncommons 2,000, and the rares 3,000. So if you land this collectible and you want to sell it to us, let us know because we're excited to buy it from you.
We're very excited for the Punisher one. We really want it.
Excited. This is
awesome. Please.
Yeah. Well, Corey, thanks so much for joining, man. This is
thanks for having me. It's always good to talk with you too.
Everyone like and subscribe, and make sure to follow Corey too. He's an amazing guy.
This guy.
Follow VeVe. Don't follow Corey.
Yeah, follow VeVe too. Yeah, follow VeVe. Yeah, that's important.
Do both. You can do both at the same time. Turns out.
Thanks again, guys, for joining. Thank you, everybody out there, for joining today. That's so much fun, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye, friend.